It lurks in the shadows, a silent stalker affecting millions worldwide. What is this mysterious ailment? It's not some creature from a horror movie, though its effects can be pretty scary. We're talking about diabetes, a chronic condition that's more common than you think. And trust us, it's way more complicated than just eating too much sugar. So, buckle up, grab your insulin, just kidding, unless you need to, and get ready for diabetes uncovered facts, myths, and hidden insights. Did you know that nearly 1 in 2 people with diabetes are walking around undiagnosed? That's like a whole army of silent sufferers. But don't let its quiet demeanor fool you. This monster can lead to some serious health problems if left unchecked. We'll delve into the nitty-gritty of what diabetes actually is, breaking down the science into bite-sized pieces. We'll expose the lesser-known risk factors, from your family tree to your stress levels. And we'll separate fact from fiction, debunking those stubborn myths that just refuse to die. Picture this, you just crushed a plate of pancakes. Extra syrup, obviously. Your body's like, sweet victory, and starts breaking down those carbs into sugar, aka glucose, for energy. But what happens when the bouncer goes AWOL, or the doors get rusty and refuse to budge? That's where diabetes crashes the party. Now, diabetes isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Let's meet the usual suspects, shall we? First up, we've got type 1 diabetes, the autoimmune rebel. Next in line is type 2, the lifestyle enthusiast. And finally, we've got gestational diabetes, the temporary visitor, hopefully. It's like your body's hormones are throwing a party, and insulin's stuck doing all the cleanup. Remember that scene in Terminator where Arnold Schwarzenegger's on a mission to take out Sarah Connor? Well, type 1 diabetes is kind of like that. Scientists are still trying to figure out exactly what triggers this autoimmune attack. But one thing's for sure. Type 1 diabetes usually develops in childhood or adolescence, though it can sneak up on adults too. Without those insulin-producing cells pumping out their precious hormone, glucose is left stranded outside your cells. Living with type 1 diabetes is like walking a tightrope. A constant balancing act of blood sugar monitoring, insulin injections, and careful carb counting. Since their bodies can't produce insulin on their own, they need to inject it multiple times a day. Managing type 1 also involves meticulously tracking blood sugar levels throughout the day. It's a lot to juggle, but with the right knowledge, support, and a healthy dose of humor, people with type 1 can live long, fulfilling lives. Now, if type 1 diabetes is like a sudden explosive attack, type 2 is more like a stealthy ninja, creeping up on you over time. In type 2 diabetes, your body either doesn't produce enough insulin or becomes resistant to it. Over time, this insulin resistance leads to a buildup of glucose in your bloodstream. The sneaky thing about type 2 is that it can develop slowly, with mild or even no symptoms in the early stages. Pregnancy is a wild ride, full of hormonal fluctuations, weird cravings, and for some unlucky folks, gestational diabetes. This type of diabetes is like that unexpected guest who shows up unannounced and overstays their welcome. While gestational diabetes is usually temporary, it's not something to take lightly. The good news is that gestational diabetes can often be managed through diet and exercise, though some women may also require medication. Okay, so we know that type 2 diabetes is linked to lifestyle factors like diet and exercise, but it's not as simple as just eating too much sugar and becoming a couch potato. There are actually a whole bunch of other sneaky culprits that can increase your risk. First up, we've got genetics. If diabetes runs in your family, you're more likely to develop it yourself. Thanks, Grandma. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room, or should we say, the donut on the dashboard. Yes, we all know that packing on the pounds and living on a diet of processed foods and sugary drinks can up your chances of developing type 2 diabetes. But here's the thing, it's not just about what you eat. We're talking about everything from your family history to your stress levels, because diabetes doesn't discriminate. First up on our list of diabetes detectives is your family tree. If you've got a parent or sibling with the condition, your risk of developing it significantly increases. But hold on, there's more. Even if your family tree is looking squeaky clean, don't get too comfy just yet. Other suspects include a sedentary lifestyle, chronic stress, and even certain medications. Here's a sobering thought. Your ethnicity can actually play a role in your diabetes risk. Certain ethnic groups, including African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, and Asian Americans, are statistically more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Environmental factors, socioeconomic disparities, and even cultural norms all play a role in this complex equation. So, what can you do if you belong to one of these higher risk groups? Knowledge is power. Alright folks, it's time to play everyone's favorite game show, Mythbusters. We're separating fact from fiction, science from speculation, and hopefully preventing a few eye rolls along the way. Because let's face it, misinformation about diabetes is about as welcome as a sugar crash at a pie-eating contest. So grab your insulin, just kidding, unless you need to, put on your thinking caps, and get ready to bust some myths. Let's address the elephant in the room. Or should we say, the skinny jeans in the diabetes clinic. Myth number 1. Only overweight people get diabetes. Thin people can get it too. Remember those sneaky risk factors we talked about earlier? Diabetes doesn't discriminate, and neither should we. Time for another myth-busting extravaganza. This time, we're tackling the age-old question, does sugar directly cause diabetes? While it's true that a diet packed with sugary drinks and processed foods can contribute to weight gain and increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes, it's not as simple as sugar equals diabetes. The real culprit here is insulin resistance. So, while cutting back on sugar is always a good idea, it's not the only factor to consider when it comes to diabetes prevention. Okay, we've talked about blood sugar, insulin, and all those physical aspects of diabetes, but here's the thing. Diabetes isn't just a physical condition, it takes a toll on your mental health too. Imagine having to constantly monitor your food, prick your fingers, and worry about those blood sugar swings. It's enough to make anyone feel stressed, anxious, or even downright overwhelmed. And for folks with type 1 diabetes who rely on insulin injections every single day, the mental burden can be even heavier. They're constantly calculating dosages, adjusting for meals, and dealing with the fear of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, which can be seriously scary. Then there's diabetes burnout, a state of mental and emotional exhaustion that can creep in after years of managing this demanding condition. It's like running a marathon with no finish line in sight. The good news is that recognizing the mental health impact of diabetes is the first step towards seeking help. Whether it's talking to a therapist, joining a support group, or simply confiding in a trusted friend or family member, remember that you're not alone in this journey. The silent epidemic: prediabetes and your risk. Millions have prediabetes and don't even know it. It's a silent epidemic lurking in the shadows. What is prediabetes? Think of it as a warning sign. Blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not yet type 2 diabetes. Often there are no noticeable symptoms. The good news? Prediabetes is reversible. It's like getting a second chance. Lifestyle changes can make a big difference. Regular exercise and a healthy diet help. Talk to your doctor about getting your blood sugar checked. The domino effect. Unmasking diabetes' hidden complications. We've talked about the usual suspects of diabetes: high blood sugar, insulin woes, the whole shebang. But here's the thing about this sneaky disease. It's not content with just messing with your glucose levels. Oh no, diabetes is like that guest who overstays their welcome and then starts rearranging your furniture. We're talking about long-term complications, folks, and they can affect nearly every system in your body. Think of it like this: high blood sugar is like a wrecking ball, slowly but surely damaging those delicate blood vessels and nerves over time. And when those systems start to malfunction, well, let's just say it's not pretty. We're talking eye problems, diabetic retinopathy, anyone? Kidney damage, hello, dialysis, nerve damage, numbness, tingling, and pain, oh my. And even an increased risk of infections, because fighting off bacteria is hard enough without high blood sugar cramping your style. But hold on, there's more. Diabetes also increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and even some types of cancer. Talk about a party foul. Heartbreak, hotel diabetes, and cardiovascular calamities. Diabetes and heart disease are like those toxic couples on reality TV. They just can't stay away from each other. High blood sugar messes with your blood vessels, turning them into a sticky, gunky mess. This leads to plaque buildup, narrowing arteries, and straining your heart. We're talking heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure. Managing diabetes can reduce these risks. Managing diabetes is like having a high-maintenance roommate who constantly needs attention and expensive supplies. We're talking about those pricey blood glucose meters, insulin pumps. Think tiny high-tech gadgets, not the kind you use to inflate your pool float, and continuous glucose monitors or CGMs that give you real-time sugar readings. Sure, these technological marvels are life-changing, offering convenience and better control over blood sugar levels. But let's be real. They don't come cheap. And for folks without adequate insurance, affording these essential tools can feel like winning a losing lottery ticket. We're talking about tough choices between paying for medication or putting food on the table, skipping doctor's appointments to avoid hefty bills, or even rationing insulin, a dangerous game that no one should have to play. The financial burden of diabetes is often hidden, but it's a heavy weight that millions carry every single day. It's time to shed light on this issue and advocate for affordable healthcare, because everyone deserves access to life-saving treatment, regardless of their bank account balance. Section 2. Balancing act, juggling meds and lifestyle. Managing diabetes isn't just about popping pills and checking your blood sugar, it's a constant balancing act. Imagine juggling a healthy diet, regular exercise, medication schedules, and blood sugar monitoring. For folks with type 2 diabetes, lifestyle modification is key. But making lasting changes to your diet and exercise habits is easier said than done. It's a constant dance between managing blood sugar levels and trying to live your best life. Seek support from healthcare professionals and join a diabetes community. Section 1. Dodge the diabetes bullet. Prevention is key. Alright, enough with the doom and gloom. Let's talk about how to kick diabetes to the curb before it even thinks about crashing your party. Because let's be real, prevention is always better and cheaper than a lifetime of blood sugar battles. Now we know what you're thinking. Here comes the lecture about eating kale and running marathons. Relax, we're not going full-on drill sergeant on you unless that's your thing. The truth is, preventing type 2 diabetes and even delaying its onset is often about making small, sustainable changes to your lifestyle. Think of it like this. Instead of overhauling your entire life, focus on swapping out those bad habits for some healthier alternatives. It's like trading in your gas-guzzling clunker for a sleek, fuel-efficient hybrid. You're still getting where you need to go, just with a little less wear and tear on your system and the planet. Section 2. Unlocking the secret surprise strategies for prevention. Okay, you've heard it a million times. Eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly, maintain a healthy weight. Yawn, right? But what if we told you there were some secret weapons in the fight against diabetes, some unexpected strategies that could tip the scales in your favor? First up, prioritize sleep. That's right, catching those Z's isn't just about looking fresh-faced in the morning, it's crucial for regulating those pesky hormones that control blood sugar. Next, embrace your inner yogi or meditate like a Zen master. Stress is a sneaky saboteur that can wreak havoc on your blood sugar levels, so finding healthy ways to manage it is key. And here's a fun one, soak up some sunshine. Vitamin D deficiency has been linked to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, so get your daily dose of vitamin D. Just don't forget the sunscreen. Remember, knowledge is power, and taking charge of your health is the best way to dodge the diabetes bullet. Section 1. Knowledge is power. Take charge of your health destiny. So there you have it, diabetes in all its messy, complicated glory. We've busted myths, uncovered hidden truths, and hopefully equipped you with the knowledge to navigate this tricky terrain. Remember, diabetes might be a chronic condition, but it doesn't have to define you. Armed with the right information, support, and a healthy dose of humor, you can live a long, fulfilling life, sweet tooth and all. But here's the deal. Knowledge without action is like a car without an engine. It's not going to get you very far. So what are you waiting for? Get yourself tested, talk to your doctor, and start making those healthy lifestyle changes today. And hey, don't forget to share this newfound wisdom with your friends, family, and that neighbor who's always sneaking extra sugar in their coffee. Remember, we're all in this together, and together we can kick diabetes' butt. Now go out there and be the healthiest, happiest you can be. And if you ever need a reminder of these life-saving tips, you know where to find us. Stay sweet, stay informed, and stay tuned for more diabetes adventures.